You asked the question a little while ago, how did I end up in this space?
Yeah, through your parents to need or...
No. So I went to university and studied biomedical engineering.
Interesting.
So I graduated from the University of New South Wales as a biomedical engineer, started working in the medical device space, and I spent a good 17 years in the medical device industry, working in things like cardiac ultrasound, radiology, pacemakers, implantable devices, all that sort of stuff. So that's kind of like what I cut my teeth on. And then back in 2017, this serendipitous moment happened for me where I might have been 34 at the time. I'd gone back to uni at that stage to do a master's in business administration or an MBA. So I was really, really busy finishing that off. I had a 1-year-old child. I was flying in and out of the country a lot doing the work that I was doing. My wife was beginning to forget what I looked like because I was just so busy, right? And then this serendipitous moment where my neighbour across the road from me, her name's Lillian, she was 87 at the time. She flagged me over and she said, "Oh, Jim," this is when I pulled up from work. She said, "Oh, Jim, can you help me replace the garden hose?" And her knuckles riddled with arthritis. So I did that and I had my 5 minutes of pleasantries with Lillian in typical Jim busy mode, run, rush. I said, "Okay, Lillian, see you later." And I ducked inside. And then about a week and a half, 2 weeks later, my wife, who was a social worker at the time at the Kids Hospital in Westmead.
Oh, what a good combination.
Some might think so. But my wife pulled up and it was raining on the day and she saw Lillian out of the corner of her eye. Lillian was laying down between her front door and her front gate. Lillian had slipped over. She was laying on her side. She broke her hip and she was lying in the rain and she might have been there for hours calling out for help and nobody was around.
Oh.
Yeah, and cut a long story short, that was the catalyst for Lillian ending up in a nursing home. And, you know, she did a stint at hospital and a little bit of rehab, but Lillian never came home again. She went to a nursing home home that was outside of the community that she'd been in that home for 40 years. She was an instrumental member of the community. In her later years, she became quite isolated and lived alone and, you know.
And all because of one trip.
Now, a couple of things happened for me there, right? First of all, I felt immense guilt, okay, because it was only a week and a half, 2 weeks prior. But I was with Lillian. I saw her, right? I saw how frail she was. She called me in a moment of need. I solved the acute problem, but I certainly didn't even scratch the surface of what was going on underneath. I didn't even ask, in my 5 minutes of rush, I did not even ask, "Lillian, is there anything else I can do while I'm here?" I didn't even do that. I was in my own head. I've got to get inside, right? And that is once I got over the guilt, I realized, you know what? This is not an issue. This is not a problem of Jim. This is a problem of Jim's society, my society, right? We are all so busy in living our lives and rush. And, you know, I even through, like, personally just working through that, I was reflecting with my mum, okay? And I said, "Mum," my mum was born in a little village in Sicily, in Italy. And I said to my mum, you know, how do all the oldies stay safe in the villages? There's certainly no my age care in these villages of Europe, right? And home care pack. She goes, "You know, Jim, there's always a local person in the village that would keep an eye out for the oldie, right? Help them, you know, keep an eye out." And I just thought, I had this moment, like it was just like this flash into my mind. I was like, if only I was a better village local for Lillian. And that's how we got our name, VillageLocal.
Oh, interesting.
Right. So that's like, ever since then, I was just constantly thinking to myself, well, what could I have done differently, and what could society be doing differently to keep our older generations living independently and well in their homes and communities for as long as possible.